Yay, we're live again. Oh my gosh, how's everybody doing? Here, let me move this. That's better. Cool, how's everyone? Have you had a good start to the week so far? I sure hope so. We booked a show today, so that's fun. I'm going to be doing a duo thing with Cindy. Yay! So that will be awesome. I'll keep you posted on how that all comes together. But I've got some good stuff planned today for you, so it should be good, I hope, anyway. We're going to be talking about Nehemiah chapter 5 now, which I can't believe we're just moving right along there. Hi, Laura! What's happening? We're going to talk about the topic of poverty. And it's a huge, obviously complex topic, so we're going to barely touch on it, but it's a pretty common theme throughout the whole Revelation wellness training that I'm going through. And so I've learned some really insightful things that I'd like to share with you. So chapter 5 is going to help touch on that as well. So before we do that, let's go ahead and jump into, well, actually, I'm going to bring this book back out. I've been talking a lot about this because I'm really excited. But our retreat, the last bit of our training retreat is in just a couple weeks. So it's the beginning of November. And I cannot wait to bring this back to you guys. This is the Wellness Revelation, so you've probably seen this if you've been here before. But I wish that this wasn't backwards. But the Wellness Revelation, lose what weighs you down so you can love God, yourself, and others. This book is super powerful, you guys, and I am just so excited to be able to lead you through it. So if you guys are wanting to join our group, I'm going to be, in the next couple weeks, I'm going to be starting, I think we're going to do a Facebook group first, and hopefully we'll be able to put together a physical group too as well, but for sure we'll start with the Facebook one, and we're going to walk through this, and it's really cool. Yes, you do. Seriously, it's so good. I'll message you about it, Laura, because it's seriously wonderful. But yeah, it's all about, not so much, it is about, of course, losing like physical weight, but a lot of it's just really very spiritual, like losing what weighs us down in our spirit and our soul, so we can love ourselves and love others and be freed from what weighs us down. So lots of great biblical truths in this, and just getting healthy and whole and well, living well together in community. So I'm super excited about that. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. It's the Wellness Revelation. The Wellness Revelation. We're going to be starting group. I suppose it's a journey, but it's a Bible study as well. But yes, we can do this together. It's going to be really cool. And I cannot wait. So that's just a few weeks out. So I guess our retreat is the first weekend in November in Arizona. So I'm getting kind of nervous about it, but good nerves, I think. So if you guys feel called to pray, that would be wonderful. So I'm super excited to bring it all back to you guys. So cool. With that, let's jump into our crowd music artist. And let me know here if you have any questions. Yes, Laura, yes. You need it because it's really good. Cool. This is Plevyak. Plevyak is an artist. He's a pop rock singer-songwriter, originally from Baltimore. And I love listening to his music because it really kind of reminds me of the style of singer-songwriter style that I do, where he places a lot of emphasis on utilizing a full band. And because I've always done that. I've always loved really pop-inspired music and catchy songs, but always really, really loved the full band effect. So I love that he's into that as well. He's got high energy, smartly crafted pop music, mixing influences of pop, rock, indie, folk, and R&B. He's doing some really awesome things. He's pretty young too, 21, 22, I think, somewhere around there. Yeah, let's hear it. This is Plevyak, Up for Air.
And I'll be the sand of your sea. Just stay here, floating like this with me. Let's never come up for air. 'Cause under the surface, the world can't hurt us no more. And damn, it ain't fair. Let's never come up for air.
Oh, I get some Murdy hugs. Yeah, so that one's a little slower, but he's got some really fun other music here as well. I'll show you a little clip. This is part of his little welcome video on Crowd Music.
Girl, there's a fire in your eyes, and I'm praying that it never rains.
Yay, I see people. Hi.
Girl, I'll do anything and everything and hope you feel the same.
Yeah, so fun. Okay, so that's Plevyak. The first one was Up for Air. I'm not sure what that one was called, but that's part of his welcome video there. But this is all over on Crowd Music. You can go and learn more about Crowd at crowdmusic.com/AlexaKriss. You can join our crowd. It's super fun. You get exclusive music, and you get to see all kinds of various artists all over the music styles and genres. But you also have an opportunity to join the crowd and benefit from promoting these artists as well. So you will be able to actually make some extra money doing it, but also you're supporting just a really great cause. You know, these artists who are really talented and passionate, and it's just a really cool thing. So if you guys are interested in learning more about that, let me know, and I'd be happy to share with you. Otherwise, you can just go check it out and get Up for Air by Plevyak, and among other really awesome songs at crowdmusic.com/AlexaKriss. Cool. Well, let's jump in here. So we're talking about poverty today, and like I said, it's so complex. There's no way that we can really touch on all of it, like ever, really. But it is a topic that's really, really important, I think, to address. And in Revelation Wellness, throughout the training, we've talked about this quite a bit. It's a theme that comes up often, sort of learning about what it is and what causes it, what defines poverty, and are there different types of being poor, and all of that. So I'd just like to share a few things that I've learned about it. But before we do that, I'm going to recap a little bit about what we've talked about in Nehemiah, so maybe it helps you get a little bit of an idea of where we're at and why this kind of is even brought up now at this point. So way back at the beginning of Nehemiah, we saw Nehemiah, how he was affected when he heard about the state of the people back home, and how he was actually going to step down from his position and place of comfort in order to carry out God's plan to rebuild the walls. We've learned how Nehemiah has responded to this call in humility and strength and in courage. We've got to see how he's led the people to begin working wholeheartedly, not half-heartedly. Hi, Kristen. And how they're working together and actually getting stuff done. The walls are being built. And then last week, we kind of had a bump in the road, and we had some opposition come up. And so we talked about identifying tactics from the enemy and how we can kind of assess that in our own lives, and what to do about it when it happens, because it's a when, not an if. It will definitely, whenever we say yes, we're gonna be under attack. So you guys can check those. Each one of those is actually a video. So if you go to hear what we talked about on those weeks, you can definitely go find those. They're just on the page here, but also I'm putting them on YouTube as well, so you can go and find those there. But so here we are. We've got the people, things are happening. The walls are getting rebuilt. The people are working together. They're not being controlled by the opposition. Things seem to be going really great, and until we get to chapter 5, and a new kind of conflict or opposition arises. And so I'm just going to jump right in here. Nehemiah 5:1, and I'm going to read from the Voice translation this time around. So it says, "As time went on, a different kind of conflict arose. Common men and their wives cried out against some of their fellow Jews." So this is a cry from Jews without land. So it says, "Our families are large and we need food so that along with our children we will not starve. Let us have grain." And then the Jewish landowners said, "As a result of the famine, we are pledging livelihood, even our fields, our vineyards, and our homes as mortgage." And then other people were saying, "We're borrowing money so that we can pay King Artaxerxes taxes on our fields and vineyards because of the famine." And everyone was saying, "Even though we, debtors, are of the same people as our creditors, the same flesh, the same blood, and even though our children are the same as their children, we are raising this money for taxes by selling our children into slavery. In fact, some of our daughters are slaves already. We are helpless to do anything about it. Why? Because our fields and our vineyards now belong to our creditors." So what on earth is happening here? So it seems strange that how could these people that were making huge progress in becoming people who walk with God and who work together and who are unified and getting things done, and they're refusing to be controlled by the enemy opposition. Like, what is going on here? What is this outcry? What's happening? How could this be happening? And it's bad. I mean, we see, they're selling their children, their daughters, into slavery to raise money for these taxes. It's out of control. So they're getting stuff done, and it looks like it's all good, but really something much deeper is going on. So what exactly is happening? So we kind of started digging into this, and it's very clear that something is going on. So I think it's helpful to remember what these people were just coming out of. So these people had actually lived in really brutal captivity for over 60 years. So they knew, a lot of them, and most of them actually, this sort of dysfunction is all that they knew. Not an excuse. I'm going to just say that here. I'll talk about it later, but it's not an excuse, but it might be a reason for what is going on. They knew and completely understood what it was like to live in poverty, to be completely poor and have nothing. And now they have something and they're free. And the people that do have something, well, maybe, again, not an excuse, but maybe what was happening is that they felt like they needed to do whatever it took in order to hang on to it, to protect what they had, even, or I guess at the expense of their own people, even if it meant to enslave their people and to, other versions say exact usury, or take advantage of the poor, the people who had less than them, even though it's their own people. So it's very clear that the people that had some power, had something, were really lording it over the people who had little or less than them. And they were doing this all in an effort to protect and promote their own interests. And I think that's important to kind of keep in mind when we're looking at all this. Hi, Mom or Dad, Rod and Christine. Hello. So yes. So I think it's good to look at the background. It's not an excuse, but could be a reason for what's going on, and that'll help us kind of get to the root and hopefully fix the problem. So what's this telling us? Well, again, not an excuse, but a reason, and it seems that they must have been living in some sort of fear, or I guess a sense of like, what if, or just in case I'd better ... essentially like, just in case God doesn't come through, I had better do this. So they were living in fear, and that basically just tells us that they're not trusting. First of all, they're not trusting God fully. Because if they were trusting God fully, then they wouldn't be taking advantage of other people because it's not in their hands. Also, and I think this always goes with trust, is they weren't fully surrendered because, if they were feeling like they needed to protect and promote their own interests, then they weren't fully surrendered, because if they were fully surrendered, then they would know that what's theirs actually isn't theirs. It's God's to use and take and give. And so they wouldn't need to be in control of it and live in fear of losing it, because they're fully trusting and fully surrendered. And those go hand in hand. You can't really, it's pretty difficult to fully trust if you're not surrendering it all, and vice versa. You can't really, you're not going to surrender it all if you don't trust fully who you're surrendering to, right? So I think that's kind of tells us a little bit about what's going on in their hearts, I guess, in order for this to be happening despite all the progress they're making. And something that was really pointed out to me, or made clear, I guess, in the studies that we were doing, is that people oppress wherever fear exists. And I think that's so true, because we've talked over and over and over again about how love is opposite fear. Love casts out all fear. And their actions are not loving. It's based in fear, So I think that that's really good to keep in mind as we move on with this. I am going to read a little bit of, I think it's commentary. Yes, from the Voice translation here. So I'll read this to you because I think it points out a few really cool points as well. So it says, Nehemiah is the picture of a benevolent ruler. As a Persian appointed official, he has the right to exact a sizable tax on the people of Jerusalem. Previous governors have had special jars made for collecting grain and oil and fruit from the people. This food went to support the governor and all of his formal dinners. But Nehemiah does not exact this special tax because, this is important, because he realizes his people are already burdened by the Persians' heavy taxes. As Artaxerxes' cupbearer, because Nehemiah was Artaxerxes' cupbearer. So as Artaxerxes' cupbearer, certainly Nehemiah is a wealthy man. Therefore, he has no need for additional resources. That's also important. I underline that. He has no need for additional resources from the Jerusalem people. On his own, Nehemiah is able to regularly host all of 150 of Jerusalem's officials and frequent diplomats from other provinces, and the abundant meat and wine served at those functions proves that Nehemiah spares no personal expense. Also important. He manages to fulfill every duty assigned to him, those required of a Persian governor and those required of a man of God. And that's all it says, but I think that's really huge. And it's speaking to, not living out of fear, trusting God with what you have and surrendering essentially his whole life. His whole life to God's plan. And he was able to fulfill all of those duties assigned to him. So what does this all have to do with poverty? One thing that was extremely eye-opening to me was that poverty comes down, all of it comes down to relationships that don't work. And at first I was kind of like, what? No, how? But when I really started thinking about it, it was so true, because there are different forms of poverty or being poor. There's, of course, financial, but there's also poverty in relationships as well. And it's all the effects that come from those broken and dysfunctional relationships that aren't working is what we see as the effects of being poor or poverty. And we can see that, we talk about it a ton in Revelation Wellness, where if there's, if we're we have disordered eating or dysfunctional obsession to work out or something along those lines, then maybe there's a relationship issue. Maybe it's literally the relationship between the food and yourself, like maybe that's broken and that's why I overeat or undereat. Or maybe it's my relationship, honestly, with another person that's driving you to feel like you need to work out all the time, or that you can't find the motivation, or you're not worthy enough to find any time to work out. Or, it all came down to, as we looked at it, it all came down to relationships that don't work. I think that that's so true with most, if not all, forms of poverty or lack. So in this specific example here in chapter 5, we see that their relationship was broken between each other, but also still as children of God. Their relationship with each other was still broken, maybe because that's all they knew. But their relationship with God had to have still been a little bit dysfunctional, because once that comes together, everything else will fall into place. They were deceitfully charging their own people that needed their help with their intentions of self-gain. They were only concerned about their interests for whatever reason, but because they were, fearfully, not lovingly relating with each other. So the relationships were broken because of fear in this circumstance. And I think that really relates to us as well, because if it all comes down to relationships and fear, well then, of course, there's different ways to be poor or be living in lack. So similar to last week when we were talking about how to identify tactics or opposition from the enemy, and how we can kind of assess when it comes up, I think that we can kind of do that here as well in our own lives in order to fill that poverty-shaped gap with God, with Jesus, and then reach others who are also living in lack. And maybe it's the same kind of poverty that you have come out of, or maybe not. Maybe it's what we typically think of poverty, and that's how we're supposed to reach out. I think it's different for everyone, but I think it's important to ask, where is there oppression, or where's there bondage, captivity? Where's there fear in my life and in my heart, or in, sometimes in those close to us as well? But where is their bondage and oppression, and what's it look like? And what relationship needs restoration in order to fix it? So I gave the example of food, and maybe it's your relationship with food. Maybe you're going to food for comfort. Well, that's a broken relationship. And so we know that we need to run to the great comforter, God, not food. So maybe that's a relationship that needs to be restored. Maybe we're we're stuck in addictions or, unhealthy, abusive like relationships or something along those lines. So that's all a form of lack and poverty that I think is important to look at. Hi, Chad. So I think that's a good question to ask yourself, and so we can reach out to others, because I think we all have, we're all poor, I guess, in some way, but it's not like, Jesus in the Bible says that blessed are the poor in spirit. And at first I was thinking like, well, what? I thought we wanted to fix the poverty. And in a sense we do, but I think what it's saying there is that, less of me, and more of you, more of God. And I saw it as almost like a vacuum, like, things in science, we learn that like diffusion, like stuff moves from a concentration of high to low. And I think that's what it is. Like, that's like less of me. I'm creating a vacuum. I've got this vacuum. Maybe I didn't create it and it's just there. I've got this poverty thing. But that's how God's going to come in and fill that. So blessed are the poor in spirit. And Paul says too, God says, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. I think that speaks to that really well. Also, because it's my weakness and my vulnerability, so my lack and poverty, well, that's where his strength is. And so, of course, I guess it just opened my eyes to a different definition or different forms of being poor and living in poverty, and how it's everywhere. It's everywhere all the time, and we all have it. So what do we do about it? Well, I suppose I kind of mentioned it there. Less of me, more of God. So we can let Jesus fill that poverty-shaped gap, I guess, that's in our lives and in our hearts, and everything else will fall into place after that. And then of course we can live from the overflow, and that's the vibrant piece. So it just bubbles right on out, and we can reach everyone else that might be living and maybe the same form of poverty that you were in. I think that's often how it works, but wherever you're called. So yeah, that's what I got from Nehemiah 5 there. So I'm going to sing a little song here. I learned this one way back in college when I was living with my dear roomie, Sheridan. She is a believer, Justin Bieber fan, so she forced me, just kidding, she encouraged me strongly to learn a Justin Bieber song, and so I picked the least Justin Bieber-ish song I could possibly find, just as a joke for her, and it's actually a really pretty song. I think it's called Just Pray, but I'm gonna sing it for you here. Myrtle, oh no. Myrtle, come here. Look, it's me. No, come here. Shh. Okay, hold on, guys. No barking. There's nothing. Say you're sorry to everybody who's watching. Say I'm sorry. Okay. Sit down. Okay. Oh gosh. Beating my guitar up now. I know, isn't she a goofball? No, please. Max is usually here to control the wild animals that are living in my house, but he is out with a friend tonight. Okay. Can't sleep tonight, knowing that things ain't right. It's in the paper, it's on the TV, it's everywhere that I go. Children are crying, soldiers are dying, some people don't have hope. But I know there's sunshine beyond that rain, and I know there's good times beyond that pain. Hey, can you tell me how to make a change? I close my eyes and I can see a better day. I close my eyes and I pray. Close my eyes and I can see a better day. I close my eyes and I pray. I lose my appetite, knowing that it stops tonight. Am I a sinner? 'Cause half my dinner is still on my plate. I got a vision to make a difference, and it starts today. But I know there's sunshine behind that rain, and I know there's good times behind that pain. Hey, can you tell me how to make a change? I close my eyes and I can see a better day. I close my eyes and I pray. I close my eyes and I can see a better day. I close my eyes and I pray for the broken hearted. I pray for the lives not started. I pray for all the souls not breathing. I pray for all the souls who need a break. Can you give them one today? I just can't sleep tonight. Can someone tell me how to make a change? I close my eyes and I can see a better day. I close my eyes and I pray. I close my eyes and I can see a better day. I close my eyes and I pray. Barely got through that one. That's a pretty song though. Myrtle, you're kind of distracting, you know. Well, where did my thing go? Thanks guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys got something good out of today. And again, if you were not here earlier, I'm going to be starting these little group studies in the Wellness Revelation book here. So if you guys are interested in joining our group, let me know. Because I'm going to be doing one online, so anybody can do it first. And we'll be doing weekly, let's see, I guess Facebook Live, or I might even do a Zoom or something where we can actually interact a little bit more and actually discuss what we're reading and learning in this study. But it's a 9-week journey, and we'll meet weekly, and then I'll have all kinds of additional information in the group that we get put together. But I'll know more all about that in a couple weeks. So if you guys are interested in that, seriously, let me know. It's going to be really fun. It'll be the first time that I lead one. So you guys can come along for the first time journey type thing. But again, thanks so much for hanging out and always supporting. And I will be back next week. Sorry for all the dog distractions today. All right, guys. See you later. Peace.